Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast, and today it is a 2 vs 2 on Minsk Pocket. And checking out our players, we have our yellow Russian player, Australian Magic, our blue US Forces player, IAAV 1990, and down south our red Wehrmacht player, BananaInPajamas, and our pink OKW player, Shelestofdeath. And it is Minsk Pocket. That means our victory points are slightly diagonal across the map here. And our munitions points are left and right across the map, and our fuel points are directly in front of each other's bases here, going from south to north. So very easy to get your own fuel, but a little bit more difficult to get the munitions point, about equally difficult, and quite difficult to get your opponent's fuel and hold it for any significant amount of time. Now the Sheriff Wehrmacht Schlepper and the Kuba wagon for the OKW player moving out. 2 riflemen for the US Forces player. And for our yellow Russian player, we have a conscript and the engineers heading out the right side with an MG follow-up. For our Wehrmacht player, we have the grenadiers out. The MG right off the bat. Pretty standard opening for the Wehrmacht. And we'll see what this Kuba wagon's going to do, and if it can get any good suppression out. Already putting that razor wire out. And Kuba wagon not really doing some good suppression this time around. There's not much to suppress, just these rear echelon troops that are being a little bit annoying there. And we have our riflemen now moving out to the center from the U.S. forces. Over on the right side, we have our engineers taking the right side munitions point and territory points, and now moving over to the victory point side. Now these rear echelon troops are entirely pinned, so they got to get out of there. However, the riflemen are coming from behind at this Kuba wagon and got a few good shots off and actually did quite a bit of damage on it because of its rear armor was faced. Now these storm pioneers are moving towards these riflemen here, and with their STG assault rifles doing huge damage to those riflemen. And we'll see if this Kuba wagon can handle this situation. Over on the right side, engineers are taking the right side victory point, but there's some engineers from the Russians coming. Should get behind this log here and get a little bit of good cover against those. But the engineers from the Wehrmacht will beat the Russian engineers should they get close enough to do so. MG has been set up, and this Kuba wagon's going to run right into that MG. And Kuba wagons do not fare well against MGs, and loses that Kuba wagon. Trying to set up this MG at these soldiers here by the Russians, and but they're juking it out and getting on the other side of the arc of fire. And he doesn't really know what to do with this MG here. He's trying to set it up in such a way to get both of these, but it's not really going to happen as they're moving back and forth there, but do have to retreat. Now the Wehrmacht will take over the right side. Riflemen against these Volksgrenadiers here, but the Volksgrenadiers have cover. However, the Riflemen are a 1-star veteran, so a pretty even trade, I suppose. I suppose the cover would be better in the end. Now moving up into point-blank range, so both sides technically have cover, but they're right in front of a log, so I don't really consider that too much cover. We'll see who wins this out. A 2-star veteran now for the Riflemen. Using that elite Rifleman training as they come out, a little bit more veterancy when they come out. Now gaining a 2-star, so a pretty good start for the U.S. forces there. Grenadiers now coming in to the center. Volksgrenadiers coming into the center as well. Going to take the center victory point. Left side is now being taken by the rear echelon troops, which is actually a very early take of the left side. A lot of people just don't even bother taking the left side on this map for quite a while. Riflemen moving over to the left side as well here. However, these rear echelon troops were in trouble by those storm pioneers, which are superior troops in terms of the close range combat that was occurring at this victory point here. Machine gun has been set up right here to stop any troops from coming along. However, he could just tech up and use a rifle grenade and hit that MG really easily. So we'll see how that works out here. 2 machines set up directly in front of each other. I'm surprised they're not actually shooting. As you can see, that line of arc of fire, they are in each other's arc of fire, but must be just a scotch too far out for them to start firing at each other. Now a mortar being set up by the Russian player. Very good idea, as you can just start bombing away at that MG there. A second MG out for the Russian player, and for the U.S. forces, 4 riflemen, and the 3/4-ton ambulance is now out on the field, close to the center of the battlefield, which I do agree with, so that you can reinforce and heal very easily. Now over on the right side here, looks like a battle is occurring. The MGs are now firing at each other, but the mortar squad is now launching mortars at this static MG. So we'll see. And a good hit there, losing 2 of the soldiers. He's going to have to back that out of there. MG was set up here in the center, but these Grenadiers got a really good flank on it, now forcing it away here. conscripts choose to oorah right through that MG fire. And that was actually rather strange. The mortar hit right here, and indeed uses that rifle grenade right over the wall there. I thought he was going to do that at some point, but the mortar hit right here, and the soldier carrying the MG was over here, and it killed both of them. Very strange. MG desperately trying to get out of there with 2 grenadiers firing on him, and he may make it. There's going to be a few more shots from this grenadier, but nope, good. He definitely makes it out of there with just a sliver of health. MG now trying to suppress these troops, forcing them out of there. There isn't a free MG42 on the ground. Could take that for the Russians, but there are some grenadiers moving up in this center area here. And now going to force away both the MG and the mortars, unable to defend themselves against those grenadiers. As there was also grenadiers in this building here firing away as well. Now the Wehrmacht owning the majority of the map here, owning the left side, middle, and right side victory points.
Knock it off.
A huge blob of U.S. forces here, but a very dangerous blob at that, as there's 2 of them are 2-star veteran riflemen, so pretty good there. We'll see how that works out for him. Now, Panzer Fusiliers over here, very good at long range, but actually rather weak troops if you can get up to them and do some good damage to them. Looks like a mortar is coming in here. No, an infantry support gun, which is basically like a mortar. And these Panzer Fusiliers are holding out pretty well against all of these riflemen, which is very surprising, as there's a lot of damage incoming from these riflemen. Schwer Wehrmacht Schlepper was moving up, was going to turn that into something, but decided to move it back there, as it's in a little bit of danger. 2 Volksgrenadiers going to battle it out with these 3 rifleman squads. And one of these rifleman squads has no cover. This rifleman squad should move up just a little bit there and get some of that cover behind that tree. But now, forcing away 2 of the squads, which I'm not sure why he retreated so easily, as both of those squads have all of the members in it. Just a little bit of missing health. Conscripts now moving forward here, but there was an MG set up once more. They took that MG that was sitting there and took it back. But there is a mortar there, and the mortar is just going to start firing on it once again. Engineers here trying to take the center, but not going to happen against those grenadiers with that LMG. And mortar shoots and misses there on the ground. Rear echelon troops taking some of the left side here, trying to take back some territory from the Wehrmacht. They need to take this center victory point so they can start turning the game around for the U.S. forces. But so far, the Wehrmacht in a very commanding position on this map, 500 to 391. Now asking, need flank there. And moving that MG back to avoid that mortar barrage. And these engineers are right up front here. And I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do here. He's trying to make a minefield. That would have been very interesting to get that off, but not really going to happen. MG also set up this way to avoid the flank, and a quad cannon here. Going to start chewing up these forces here, but there's a lot of grenadiers in the way, and takes a Panzerfaust hit, damaging the engine, a captain out on the field against this MG42 that is set up the wrong way. The captain's trying to move forward to it, and I'm not sure why he retreated once again. Although the MG was faced towards him, he could have got off a few extra shots at the very least. Sometimes you can get lucky and kill the MG gunner over and over, so that they just have to keep taking turns on that MG, and you can actually get away with doing that sometimes and kill the whole MG squad. Grenadiers now taking the northern fuel point, and it looks like they're actually backing out of there. He may have seen this pile of riflemen coming out of there, so he wanted to get back. MG42 is set up here, but there are 2 MGs sitting over here, but facing the wrong way there. Wasn't really set up. Now the quad cannon coming right at that MG there. Going to chase that MG out of there in a quick hurry. Panzer Grenadiers out in the field. Panzer Fusiliers out in the field. And Grenadiers chasing away these rear echelon troops. Riflemen with 2 stars being forced away by these Stern Pioneers. Could have put up a little bit of fight, but they are at half health, so they were going to lose those troops very quickly. So a fairly good idea. Now, a few BARs on all these riflemen here. So these riflemen have a lot of firepower, but the BAR is good at close range, not necessarily long range. For the long range, you need the 1919, the light machine gun. And rather, this is the BAR, which is very similar, but the BAR is short range, and the light machine gun is long range. Here comes an M5A1 Stuart at these Panzer Fusiliers, and they really don't have an answer for that Stuart there, so they're just going to have to run away. They can Panzerfaust, but a little bit too far away. Now over on the right side, the mortar's still chilling over here, and there's really nothing to defend this right side. Should go over here and start taking some of this territory. But however, now, just as I said that, there's quite a bit of troops moving over to the right side. 2 MGs are set up in the center. Now I'm going to cover this victory point. As you can see, the Maxim just doesn't have the arc that the MG42 does. So a little bit more difficult to hold the center with Maxims rather than the MGs. Lots of anti-tank now set up. We have the Rakettenwerfer and a Pak-40, and we also have the infantry support gun set up here as well. Volksgrenadiers trying to hold out behind these sandbags against these two riflemen here. A pretty good battle, actually, as riflemen have to make up that distance to those sandbags, and these riflemen here are going to have to bail out of there, but they did get their 2-star, so they're going to run away and heal and reinforce. Stern Pioneers getting the flank on this rifleman here, and these riflemen are in big trouble. Going to have to retreat out of there, as these Stern Pioneers are really just unmatched troops in short-range combat. Maxim now firing at this big group of troops, a whole mess of troops, a big blob of just stuff over here. And Maxim's going to do their best to try and suppress these troops, but these Grenadiers are getting off onto the right side here. And should be able to launch a rifle grenade at this Maxim here. Doesn't have a lot of munitions to work with, but could use that. A lot of fighting going over here on the right side. Two Grenadiers. Grenadiers are going to have to retreat out of there. That quad cannon is going to be a little bit too much for him. But there is a minefield now set up here, so that's going to impede the Russians just a little bit. And it looks like he may actually run into this minefield. That's going to be bad. Here we go. And down to 3 troops, down to 2, and retreats him out of there just fine. But loses a lot of troops. Going to have to pay for that. And picking up the MG and getting it out of there before he loses that. And good thing he did, too, because that infantry support gun landed right on it. Engineers trying to get around to the side there to get to those mines so he can detect them and maybe get rid of them. But that wasn't the best path I've ever seen. Grenadiers and an MG also set up here, so not really sure what he was thinking of going around this way. Now going to need to take care of this MG with a mortar or such to gain access to that area, or bring up his quad cannon and force it away. But with the light armor of the half-track, we'll take a little bit of damage on those mines, but not too much. Now a T-70 moving on in. Could move this T-70 right up to this MG-42 and start taking it out. And he's going to try and shoot down that wall. That's a very interesting tactic. Wasn't really expecting that. Was sort of thinking in my head that he should be taking down this wall with something. But I was thinking the T-70 can't take down the wall because it's such a light tank, can't drive through it, but he can certainly shoot through the wall eventually. 57 is up, and the Maxim here to stop any approaches through here. Left side is being swarmed by U.S. forces. We have the captain, rifleman, and 3 rifleman squads over here against these 2 Volksgrenadiers, but the Volksgrenadiers have 2 Panzerschrecks, so this M5 really can't move up too far, and now can move up after that shot. They're going to have a reload time, and has to retreat out of there. Now 2 Panzer Fusiliers moving up. They do have anti-tank rifle grenades, and so they can hit that M5 over here, but I don't think that's going to be enough to take it out. Just going to damage the engine at best. T-70 did force away that MG-42 on the side there, and it failed to take down the wall. I suppose he gave up on that, as its little cannon was just not enough to take out that wall. Infantry support gun racking up a few kills here. 5 kills and 1 star so far. Just being a nuisance right now. And trying to force away this German pile here, but there's a lot of troops. Pak-40 is in trouble, needs to pull that back. And a mess of troops also coming up once more. The battle group headquarters down here healing up troops. The Schwerer Panzer headquarters is sitting here stalling any advances forward, as they'll instantly get suppressed. However, the 57 is slowly taking care of that Schwerer Panzer headquarters, and it also looks like the ZIS might be hitting it as well. Support gun actually hit that that half-track. It looks like, oh, that it was the Pak. I think it may have been the Pak. And a whole mess of action going on in the center here, just so convoluted you can't even really tell what's going on. A mass of riflemen and captain now moving forward and forcing away all these troops. The Rakettenwerfer and the infantry support gun having to get out of there. And a free Panzerschreck is down on the field, but he picks it up with his squad before it was able to be picked up by the U.S. forces. T-70 also pushing away here, but the infantry support gun now taken out as well. So the Wehrmacht now, the Germans are in trouble. The Panzer Fusiliers here trying to battle it out, but just not going to be enough. It's just not enough firepower to force away. And all this because his Pak got stuck. Very unfortunate. Battle Group Headquarters is now being destroyed. We have the 57 and the T-70 blasting away at it. We also have a flamethrower on it too, so it will be gone very, very soon. Picking up that infantry support gun, now going to run away with it. Very recommended idea. I love the infantry support gun. So long ranged and just so good when it hits troops. Suppresses them and pushes them to the ground. MG42 trying to battle it out here, but has to get up. Just so much firepower here from the Allies that just forced away all those Germans. Very well done, as the U.S. forces flanked through this way, and a lot of firepower was pushed down this way as well. So that's how you do it. Now a flank coming over on the right side, so now it's the Germans' turn, and we'll see how this works out. But there's just so much firepower over here from the U.S. forces, so we'll see how this works out. Panzer IV now in the front here. But there's just so much anti-tank, and takes out that Panzer IV in a very quick hurry. I could barely even see what was hitting that CIS, and looks like 2 57s were hitting it at the same time there. So it just took wrath, basically. We have one player, the Wehrmacht, has disconnected. So now it is just the one player there, just the OKW left, and he says they're a disgusting blob and quad, but in all honesty, blobs are very easy to deal with if you know how to deal with blobs. MG34s, MG42s are very effective at dealing with blobs. Also, maybe a couple couple more of those support guns would have been able to take out these the packs from the enemy team here, the 57s and the ZISs. But typically, blobs are actually sort of easy to deal with. Most people that blob are considered to be noobs. I enjoy blobbing. It's always good fun, and especially in a 4 versus 4. But so I really don't see the problem, as they could have easily dealt with the blob. I think they just simply got outplayed here, and we'll see what happens. It looks like nothing really. The U.S. forces taking, the U.S. allies rather, or just allies in general, taking over the entire map. MG42 over here being taken by the computer, and the OKW refuses to move out. So I believe this is just a total win for the Allies here. And at first it was the Germans' game, as they had 500 points and didn't lose any points until the Allies were sub 400, I believe. So they had a screaming advantage at the start of the game. Now the mechanized regiment headquarters in a little bit of trouble here. 2 bazookas from the captain moving down here and going to start blasting away at that. It's going to take quite a while, but they'll be able to do it. Rifleman moving out and going to move out against the computer here that is taking some of the sectors on the left side. And the 2 bazookas doing work on that. Now bringing up some anti-tank guns against the Wehrmacht base here. But there are some bunkers. Got to watch out for those bunkers here. And now using those 57s on the bunkers. And it looks like this game is indeed over. But I will let it play out. And both sides sort of arguing with each other. The OKW not very happy that he lost to this blob, but I just believe that if you lose to blobs, it's your own fault. Very easy to counter. Again, just a blob yourself. You get a few machine guns and counter them. The U.S. forces and the Russians are the victors here, and the Germans, the losers. BananaInPajamas bailed out before the game was over, and the OKW refused to fight at the end, accepting his defeat. But I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, as it was a very fun one, and I will see you guys next time.